Imagine your scraps waking up as Tuscany. A cracked tile becomes a sun-washed bistro table. A rusty gate learns to hold roses. Terracotta stacks into a tower of time, whispering of kitchens that smell like home. Listen, water slips from a half-barrel as if a vineyard were just beyond the fence. Shutters fade to the soft green of old summers, and jars glow like fireflies when evening comes. If your backyard is small, good. Italy is a country of courtyards. And if your budget is smaller, perfect, because today, trash turns into Mediterranean magic. Keep watching. Your first corner of Italy is probably hiding in the bin you were about to throw away. Hey, welcome to Archon Aesthetic Studio, where trash treasure becomes garden magic. If Mediterranean upcycles and rustic microscenes make you smile, subscribe and join our weekly series, new drops every week. I'd love to know, where are you watching from today, and which corner of your space needs a little Tuscany? One, Terracotta Tower Herb Totem. Picture the warmth of a Tuscan morning, soft light falling across a simple tower of terracotta pots, each one stacked as if time itself placed them there. Their edges are chipped, sun-baked, and alive with the scent of thyme, oregano, and rosemary spilling gently into the air. The pots lean slightly, not with imperfection, but with the grace of something that has lived many lives. As you approach, you notice how the herbs catch the breeze, carrying whispers of kitchens where laughter once rose with the steam of a simmering pot. The tower is not tall, nor proud, yet it draws the eye upward, inviting you to look beyond the soil, to the sky where dreams take root. There is something both humble and eternal in terracotta. It cradles life while reminding us of the earth it came from. And in this simple upcycled tower, scraps of clay and fragments of time transform into a living sculpture. It is not just a planter, it is a memory of old Italy, reborn in your garden corner. And as the leaves brush against your fingers, you realize, beauty is never lost, it only waits to be rearranged. From here, the path leads toward the shimmer of broken tiles, waiting to form a table of mosaic dreams. Two, broken tile bistro table. Imagine a table rising from the earth itself, crafted from fragments of broken tile and tempered by memory. Each shard tells a story, a once perfect plate, a jar rim, a fragment of sun-bleached ceramic. Together they form a mosaic top that glows in morning light with patches of ochre, blue, and terracotta, a painter's palette grounded in clay. Sit at this bistro table in your garden, and you'll feel as if you're perched in a tiny piazza of a forgotten village. The rough grout under your fingertips reminds you that beauty is assembled not from perfection but from pieces. The subtle cracks invite you to lean in closer, discovering patterns that never repeat. A lemon tree nearby drops a blossom onto the surface, and suddenly a fragrance of Sicilian groves fills your imagination. This table doesn't shout. It simply listens, waits, and offers a place to pause. Here you can savor a cup of tea, share a conversation, or just trace the outline of the tiles with your eyes as the day slows to dusk. It invites you to remember that everything broken can be made whole in another form, whether it's a life, a dish, or a garden corner. As you leave this mosaic stage, your next step leads toward an iron gate transformed. Let's discover a trellis that holds more than vines. Three, Wrought-Iron Gate Trellis. Lean against a gate that was never meant to open. Its iron has forgotten the feel of a latch. Instead, it holds the weight of vines and the promise of flowers. Curved scrolls and rusted loops catch sunlight, turning shadows into lace on the stucco wall behind it. Once this gate guarded a passageway, now it frames a scene in your garden. A gentle trellis where roses climb and grapevines reach toward the sky. There is poetry in reassigning purpose. The iron still whispers of the hands that forged it, but now it draws life upward instead of keeping it at bay. Each twist of metal is matched by a tendril of green, every rust mark echoed in the dusky petals of a bloom. It stands as both artifact and living thing, the past entwined with the present. Listen as the breeze runs through its openwork and touches the leaves, making them tremble with quiet joy. Rest your hand on its cool surface and feel the warmth of sun still stored there. In this upcycled trellis, the rigid becomes fluid, the forgotten becomes fertile. Step away, and you'll notice that the garden seems to breathe more deeply, grateful for this transformation. Ahead, another melody awaits, the soft murmur of a barrel-turned fountain, inviting you to sit and listen. Four, Half Wine Barrel Fountain. In one corner of your garden stands a half-wine barrel, its wooden staves darkened by age and by the gentle splash of water that never ceases. What once held a vintage now carries a pool of reflected sky. The barrel's circular opening cradles a small world, river pebbles resting at the bottom, lily leaves afloat, petals drifting like memories. A bamboo spout pours a clear thread from above, each drop creating concentric circles that travel outward and touch the rim, as if knocking politely on the door of serenity. The sound is soft, continuous, a heartbeat of water. It conjures the murmurs of distant vineyards, the coolness of a cellar carved into stone. A nearby vine slips its tendril over the edge, tracing the curve of the barrel, while tiny insects pause to drink. This fountain does not strive to be grand. It is humble and self-contained, a whisper rather than a song. Yet its presence brings a calm that settles not only the garden but also the mind. There is something alchemical about turning an instrument of fermentation into an oasis. Time, wood, and water blend and become solace. And just as grapes become wine, and barrels become fountains, so do old ideas renew into a new sense of peace. Five, Weathered Shutters Wall. Lean your back against a wall that speaks in colors and wood grain. Once it was a shutter, perhaps shading a sunlit window overlooking fields. Now it stands weathered and worn, layers of paint peeling to reveal faded blues and soft greens beneath. The cracks and knots in the wood are like lines on an aged face, each one telling a story. Ivy threads through the slats, its green fingers reaching toward jars of herbs and dried lavender that hang like tiny gardens. At dusk, Fairy lights woven across the shutters begin to flicker, casting warm glows and soft shadows. They illuminate the jars of thyme and basil, catch on the edge of a terracotta pot, and make the peeling paint shimmer like an abstract painting. The air is filled with the scent of sage warmed by the day's sun, mixed with the faint sweetness of jasmine climbing nearby. This weathered shutter's wall is not just a backdrop. It is a memory kept alive. It transforms your garden into a quiet alley in a Mediterranean village. It whispers of breezes that travel from hills to sea, carrying with them the song of simple life. And as you walk past, you catch a glimpse of yourself in its surface, as if you were part of its story all along. Six, ladder planter rack. An old ladder leans quietly against the wall, no longer climbing toward rooftops but toward life itself. Each rung has been given a second purpose, to cradle pots of lavender, thyme, and oregano. Their green cascades soften the weathered wood, making it feel less like a tool of labor and more like a gentle stage for nature's theater. The ladder's cracks and faded grain tell of years of service, and now, in the garden, it finds rest as a bearer of fragrance and bloom. Step closer, and you will hear the bees pause at lavender blossoms, see the light dappling through oregano leaves, and sense the rhythm of growth that climbs as surely as a vine. The ladder teaches us something subtle, that life can always find a way upward, even if the structure beneath it has aged and bent with time. At dusk, shadows of the herbs lengthen across the rungs, and fairy lights strung nearby glimmer against the wood. This once simple object has become a vertical garden, a rustic reminder that upward paths exist even in small corners. And as your eyes follow the herbs reaching skyward, they guide you to the next story, olive crates stacked with history, ready to bloom again in your garden. Seven, olive crate planters. Stacked in quiet corners, olive crates carry more than soil and roots. They carry echoes of markets and harvests long past. Their wood is rough, sun-bleached, stamped with fading labels that once told of groves and growers. Now they hold geraniums, mint, and thyme, spilling over like laughter at an old cafe table. The crates don't stand in straight lines. They lean and scatter, just as life does. Their charm lies in imperfection, in the way they invite casualness rather than order. The herbs breathe through the cracks, their scents drifting into the warm air. Basil sharp and sweet, lavender soft and calming. The red blooms of geraniums spark against the muted wood, as if fire and earth had found a way to live together. These planters are more than containers. They are fragments of stories, carrying with them the soul of the Mediterranean countryside. Each time you glance at them, you see not just a plant but a whisper of tradition, a reminder that beauty lives in the everyday, in objects that refuse to be discarded. And as the sunlight moves across their weathered edges, you feel drawn toward another resting place. A bench crafted from old doors, softened by linen, waiting to share its warmth. Eight, reclaimed door bench. An old door finds new life when it lies flat, softened by linen cushions, becoming a bench where stories can rest. Once it opened to rooms and years now gone. Today it opens instead to conversation and quiet afternoons in the garden. Its panels, chipped and faded, hold the weight of both memory and the present moment. Sit here beneath the gentle shade, and you will feel the warmth of wood that has seen countless hands push it open. Every mark is a reminder of passage, time moving, people crossing, laughter and silence both slipping through. Now, instead of standing upright in duty, it reclines, inviting you to pause. The scent of time from a nearby crate drifts close, while jasmine trails lazily along the wall. In the evening, as fairy lights flicker overhead, this bench becomes a place where the heart slows and the world feels simpler. It reminds us that what seems finished is often only waiting for another role. Here, the garden itself becomes a room without walls, and the bench, once a door, becomes the doorway to stillness. And from this resting place, your eyes are drawn to the next vignette, a row of tea tins, small and charming, carrying herbs and memories alike. Nine, tea tin herb rail. Along a wooden board fastened to a garden wall, a row of small tea tins has found new purpose. Their once delicate patterns, roses, swirls, golden letters, are faded now, softened by time. Yet inside each tin, life is vivid. Basil stretching for the sun, mint spilling fragrance, time holding tightly to its tiny leaves. These small containers, mismatched and worn, gather together to create something far greater than themselves. A breeze stirs, and the herbs sway lightly, releasing their perfume into the air. The mingling scents speak of kitchens and comfort, of warm evenings when food and laughter fill the air. The tins themselves become storytellers. Once stacked in cupboards, they now stand proudly in the open, touched by rain, warmed by sunlight, embraced by ivy that creeps close. There is intimacy here, as if each tin were a small diary of flavor and fragrance. They remind us that elegance doesn't demand perfection, only care, intention, and imagination. When twilight falls, fairy lights strung nearby glow against the patterned metal, and the garden feels like a page from a storybook. From this humble row of tins, your eye is drawn further, toward a winding path of broken tiles and pebbles, an invitation to keep walking, keep discovering. Ten, Mosaic Pebble Shards Path. The ground beneath your feet becomes a canvas when pebbles and broken tiles are arranged into a mosaic path. Each step reveals a story, smooth stones shaped by rivers long gone, shards of terracotta once part of roofs or cups, now given new life under the open sky. Together they form a ribbon of color and texture, winding through the garden as though it had always been there. Sunlight scatters across the uneven surface, catching on a blue shard here, a golden stone there. The path feels both ancient and new, guiding you like a memory rediscovered. Between the gaps, time creeps gently, releasing its fragrance when brushed by a step. Moss softens the borders, and small wildflowers lean over as if to greet travelers passing by. Walking barefoot, you feel cool stone, warm tile, and the comfort of earth beneath, a reminder that beauty often lies in fragments. The path does not demand perfection. It celebrates diversity, a chorus of pieces working together. And as you follow its curve, it draws you toward another resting place. A small bistro set, distressed and pale, waiting beneath a canopy to share its quiet charm. Pale distressed bistro set. Beneath the dappled shade of vines, a small bistro set rests, its paint faded to pale sage and cream, its iron edges softened by years of sun and rain. The table and chairs no longer shine as new, yet they glow with the quiet dignity of time well lived. Each chip of paint, each worn curve of iron tells of mornings spent sipping coffee, afternoons shaded with laughter, evenings crowned by candlelight. A bowl of lemons sits on the tabletop, their bright skins glowing like sunlight captured in fruit. The chairs, though weathered, cradle you with ease, as if eager to welcome yet another conversation. Around it, herbs breathe fragrance into the air, rosemary sharp and grounding, lavender soothing like a whispered prayer. Here, the imperfections are the very soul of its charm. Distress is not decay, it is memory. The bistro set has shifted from function to poetry, becoming not just a seat and a surface, but a story told in wood and metal. Sit down, rest your hands on the table's mosaic hints, and you'll find that the garden itself seems to lean closer, eager to join you. And beyond this quiet corner, a new arch rises, crafted from old doors, guiding your steps toward another scene of rustic wonder. Doorway arch, double doors. Two doors stand where no house remains, rising like sentinels at the entrance to your garden. Their paint is faded, once green, once white, now softened by time into the colors of memory. The panels carry cracks and scars, each one a trace of passage, of hands that once opened them to other rooms, other days. Now, instead of leading indoors, they open to the wide embrace of the earth. Above, a keystone detail crowns the structure, a small but noble gesture that makes the arch feel timeless. Grapevines and roses climb slowly along the edges, their tendrils weaving through hinges and keyholes, reclaiming what was once made by hand. In the evening, the arch catches the last rays of sunlight, turning it into a doorway not of wood, but of light and shadow. Passing through it feels like entering another chapter of the garden, where each step holds both history and renewal. The reclaimed doors remind us that beauty is not confined to the walls of a house. It can frame the sky, the soil, and the living things that grow between. And just beyond this arch, another surprise awaits. A mirror tucked into shaded corners, multiplying greenery into something dreamlike and endless. Mirror depth trick. In the cool shade of a garden corner, a mirror leans quietly against the wall. At first glance, it is nothing more than a pane of glass framed in weathered wood. Yet when you draw closer, you see it multiply the world, doubling the vines, deepening the path, extending the garden into a dream. The reflection bends reality, inviting you to step forward as though another courtyard lay just beyond. Ivy curls around the frame, softening the edges until the glass feels less like a mirror and more like a window. When the sun shifts, light bounces from leaf to reflection, creating a shimmer that seems alive. The air becomes layered, filled with the illusion of more space, more green, more possibility. This mirror is not vanity, it is invitation. It whispers that beauty can be endless if you are willing to see it twice. It transforms a small corner into infinity, a quiet alcove into a secret passage. At dusk, when lanterns glow nearby, the reflection gathers light and scatters it, turning shadow into mystery. In this depth trick, the garden reminds us, even within boundaries, imagination makes the world larger. And just beyond, another playful twist awaits. A colander turned into a hanging basket, where herbs and ivy spill in carefree abundance. Colander hanging baskets. Once, these colanders drained pasta in kitchens filled with the scent of olive oil and garlic. Now, they hang from pergolas and branches, carrying not water but life itself. Their perforated patterns, once practical, now sparkle with sunlight, casting playful dots of shadow across the garden floor. Each colander brims with ivy, ferns, or herbs, spilling through the holes as if eager to escape confinement. The handles, worn from years of cooking, now cradle ropes and chains. Their small rust marks only add to the story, like freckles on skin. Look closely and you'll see the roots breathing, grateful for the perfect drainage that once served another purpose. Above your head, the baskets sway gently in the breeze, each movement like laughter in the air. In this transformation, the ordinary becomes whimsical. These kitchen relics remind us that beauty is not about perfection but about reinvention. By hanging here, they bridge the warmth of a home with the openness of a garden, blending memory and growth. At night, when fairy lights weave among them, the colanders glow like lanterns, shimmering with both shadow and leaf. And just beyond this playful canopy, the garden wall waits to tell another tale. A gallery of old tools and watering cans, rust turned into rustic art. Patina tool and can gallery. Along the garden wall, a collection of tools and watering cans gathers like a quiet museum. Their metal is worn, their edges softened by rust, their handles polished by hands long gone. Once they were instruments of labor, now they stand as relics of craft, celebrated not for what they do, but for what they've become. The patina glows warmly in the sunlight, hues of copper and brown dancing against the pale stucco. Each dent is a story, a spade that once dug deep for roots, a can that poured life into parched soil. Together they form a tapestry of texture and memory, proof that even in rest, there is beauty. Ivy and jasmine creep between them, weaving the man-made into the natural. Lanterns hung nearby glow at dusk, casting long shadows that make the tools seem alive again, as if ready to return to their old duties. But now their work is different. They stir imagination, charm, and wonder. In this wall gallery, the line between utility and art dissolves. The garden itself seems to smile at the sight of its old companions granted a new role. And as your eyes linger on these relics, they drift toward another vision. A mural painted in sun-faded tones, where lemons and olive branches bring walls to life. 16. Lemon, Olive Mini Mural. On a sun-warmed stucco wall, a mural blooms, not of plaster carved or stone laid, but of pigments brushed in gentle strokes. Lemons glow like fragments of sunlight, their golden orbs caught among olive branches painted in soft greens. The colors are not bold. They are weathered, as if the sun itself had faded them into memory. Yet in their quietness, they breathe authenticity, as though the wall itself once belonged to a Tuscan courtyard. The mural blurs the line between art and life. Real vines creep at its edges, mingling with painted leaves until it is hard to see where brushstroke ends and nature begins. The wall becomes more than boundary, it becomes story. A story of citrus groves by the sea, of olive harvests carried in woven baskets, of summers when the air is thick with fragrance and time moves slowly. Stand before it, and you'll feel your garden shift. The mural offers not just decoration but invitation, a passage into a dream of Mediterranean living where even walls seem alive. In the hush of evening, lantern light brushes across the painted fruit, making it gleam as if freshly plucked. From this canvas of memory and color, your eye drifts toward another vision. Window boxes spilling over with geraniums and ivy, bringing texture and bloom to the garden's face. "17. Window boxes overflow." Along the face of the wall, rustic window boxes spill over as if nature itself had leaned too far out the window to greet the world. Bright red geraniums tumble down like sparks of fire, softened by cascades of ivy trailing in green ribbons. The boxes are simple, wood aged to gray, iron brackets carrying their weight, but what they hold transforms them into living tapestries. The stucco backdrop glows warm in the sun, making the flowers appear even more radiant. Every breeze stirs the leaves, setting the ivy into a gentle dance, while the blooms nod as if in cheerful agreement with the day. In their overflow lies a message: abundance doesn't hide, it celebrates. At dusk, lantern light catches the edges of the petals, and the boxes seem to glow against the pale wall, a memory of daylight kept alive into the evening. Their beauty is casual, effortless, yet timeless. They belong as much to a Tuscan village balcony as to your own small garden. And as you pause to admire their charm, your gaze moves toward another detail of Mediterranean grace. A niche carved into stucco, holding an olive tree or citrus, rooted in history yet thriving in the present. "18. Faux stucco niche with olive." Set into a wall of sunlit stucco, a shallow arch cradles a pot as though it were treasure. Within it stands an olive tree, young yet timeless, its silvery leaves shimmering like coins in the breeze. The niche is simple, a curve of plaster, a hollow in the wall, but the way it frames the tree transforms the ordinary into the sacred. The shadows inside the arch deepen the contrast, making the pot and leaves glow brighter, as if spotlighted by nature itself. In this embrace, the olive tree recalls the courtyards of Tuscany and the long tradition of cultivating life within walls of stone. It is a detail both humble and noble, whispering of patience, of seasons passing slowly, of roots learning to endure. Pass by in the morning, and the leaves gleam against fresh light. Return in the evening, and they shimmer under lantern glow. The niche gives rhythm to the wall, turning what could have been blank space into a gesture of intention, a small altar to life and continuity. In this framed moment, the garden shows its ability to elevate the smallest acts, placing a pot, painting a curve, into experiences of timeless beauty. And beyond this gentle shrine, another space unfolds. A canopy of linen draped overhead, offering shade and calm like the breeze of the seaside. (19) Linen-Draped Canopy. Above a quiet garden nook, white linen stretches like a sail, tethered to beams of wood. It moves gently with the breeze, its edges whispering as they flutter against the sky. This canopy is not about grandeur. It is about pause, about shade that feels both delicate and protective. Beneath it, a rustic table waits with simple offerings. A book, a bowl of fruit, perhaps a glass of wine. The fabric softens the light, turning harsh sun into a golden glow. Shadows ripple across the floor like water, making the space feel alive even in stillness. The scent of rosemary drifts nearby, mixing with lavender and thyme, carried on the same breeze that lifts the linen. Here, the garden becomes more than landscape. It becomes sanctuary. The canopy feels like an embrace, a reminder that comfort need not be complex. Its simplicity is its poetry, and its presence turns a backyard corner into a seaside retreat. As twilight falls, lanterns hung from the beams begin to glow, their light shimmering against the fabric, making the canopy float as though suspended in dream. And beyond this soft roof of cloth and sky, rustic lanterns wait to illuminate the night garden with their timeless magic. (20) Rustic Lantern Glow. When the day softens into night, the garden gathers its secrets under the glow of lanterns. Hung from chains, their aged metal frames carry stories of time and weather. The glass panes, slightly clouded, cradle a flicker that dances gently, painting gold across the stucco wall and vines. The light is not harsh, it is tender, a reminder of evenings when company lingers, when words slow and silence is as welcome as song. Each lantern sways with the breeze, its glow spilling across terracotta pots and pebble paths, turning ordinary corners into enchanted alcoves. As shadows stretch and overlap, the garden feels alive in new ways. Shapes emerge in the dark, softened by amber halos. The lanterns do not compete with the stars. They echo them, small earthly constellations woven among branches and beams. Here, time loosens its grip. You feel the garden breathe differently at night, calm, intimate, endlessly patient. The lanterns are keepers of this mood, guiding footsteps, inviting reflection. And as their glow steadies, your gaze drifts toward another gift of simplicity. A bird bath shaped from natural stone, where sky and earth meet in the stillness of water. (21) Stone Bowl Bird Bath. Carved from stone and shaped by hand, the bird bath rests as though it has always belonged to the earth. Its surface holds not just water but the sky itself. Clouds drifting slowly, branches mirrored above, the sudden ripple of a wing brushing past. In its quiet depth, time seems to pause. Birds arrive without ceremony. A sparrow dips quickly, scattering droplets like laughter. A dove lingers, letting stillness settle again. Each visitor leaves behind not only movement but a sense of continuity, a reminder that this garden belongs to more than just its keeper. The bowl's rough edges catch the light, glowing gold in the sun and silver under the moon. Moss softens its base, herbs lean close as if curious to see their reflection. Even without birds, the water glimmers as a living jewel, anchoring the space with calm. It is a modest creation, yet in its simplicity lies majesty. The stone bird bath becomes both sanctuary and mirror, connecting sky to soil, flight to rest. And just beyond this circle of water, the path leads back toward the garden's heart, where terracotta towers rise, stacking upward in playful layers of earth and green. Terracotta Pot Towers. Terracotta pots, sun-baked and humble, find new rhythm when stacked into towers. One leans into another, tilted slightly, as though whispering secrets from earth to sky. Each vessel cradles life, oregano draping like a green curtain, thyme spilling over edges, lavender rising upright with fragrance carried on the breeze. Together, they form a vertical garden, playful yet practical, ancient yet alive. The clay's warm tones deepen under the sun, glowing with the same hues as village rooftops in Tuscany. Cracks and chips only add to their charm, telling of hands that have held them, seasons that have weathered them. The tower rises not in straight perfection but in organic rhythm, echoing vines climbing a trellis or waves rolling in from the sea. As you pause beside it, you feel the balance, fragile yet steady, reminding you of life itself. Beauty, it suggests, comes from both gravity and grace, from roots that hold and leaves that wander. In the evening, lanterns cast shadows through the tower, turning it into sculpture. And from this playful column of clay and green, the eye travels onward, drawn to the soft motion of macramé hangers swaying in the breeze, each one carrying a pot like a pendant of earth. Macramé Pot Hangers. Suspended from beams of wood, the macramé hangers sway gently like pendulums of nature. Their knots are deliberate, patient, woven by hands that understand rhythm, symmetry, and grace. Within each cradle, a clay pot rests, carrying lavender, ivy, or ferns that spill downward in soft green cascades. The air stirs, and the ropes move, making the plants seem alive in dance. The beauty of these hangers lies not in extravagance but in their honesty. Twine and rope, so ordinary, are transformed into ornament. Each knot holds both strength and poetry, binding the weight of earth and plant to the openness of air. They create a floating garden, where soil and leaf hover above the ground, where space itself feels expanded by imagination. In the fading light of evening, fairy lights above echo their sway, and the pots glow warmly, shadows of rope cast like lace upon the wall. The effect is not grand but enchanting, like whispers in motion. These macramé hangers remind us that nature does not need to be anchored to the earth alone. With care and creativity, life can be lifted, suspended, and celebrated in the spaces between. And just beyond their gentle dance, an old wooden chair awaits, transformed into a planter blooming with color and nostalgia. '24 Chair Planter Charm. An old chair, once weary from the weight of years, now stands renewed in the garden. Its seat, no longer holding a body, cradles a bowl of soil where blossoms rise in colorful abundance. Faded paint lingers on its frame, sage softened to gray, blue worn into memory, each crack a reminder of time's patient hand. Yet instead of ending, the chair has found its second life, carrying beauty where it once carried rest. Flowers spill through its frame as though the chair itself had bloomed. Geraniums burst in red, petunias soften with pastel tones, ivy trails downward like a hem of green lace. The chair becomes more than furniture. It is sculpture, nostalgia, and living art. In the quiet of dusk, lantern light brushes across its weathered edges, and the blossoms glow as if crowned by memory. The chair reminds us that purpose does not vanish with age, it transforms. What was once functional is now poetic. What was once ordinary is now whimsical. And just beyond this vignette of renewal, the path leads you toward the final flourish of rustic charm. A shuttered faux window with its own wooden box, overflowing with life as if framing the garden's smile. If one idea here sparked a picture in your mind, tell me which scene you'll build first: the terracotta tower, the glowing bottle border, or the barrel fountain. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, Bottles and Borders with Nighttime Sparkle. Save this video, share it with a friend who loves upcycles, and I'll see you next week in another tiny piece of Italy.